Welcome to the Fight Night Daily podcast. Yes, it's Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, Riyadh edition fight week. Wembley Stadium we're headed for on Saturday night. 6 fights, 96,000 people, an extravaganza. We may even see Oasis on the night. I'm Gareth Davies. I'm here with Spencer Oliver in the amazing setting. Day one, Monday night, London Tower Bridge rather behind us. London Bridge is that way where talkSPORT is just to our left. The moon is out. The stars have aligned earlier on for us to talk to. You can watch all of those on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. We're here at Old Billingsgate, right on the northern edge of the Thames, Old Billingsgate Walk. Let's just talk, Spencer, about what we saw today. Boxers walking along narrow corridors, going into rooms, doing many interviews. I think we interviewed 90% of the card today. Let's start at the top. The body language of Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. You interviewed both of them today.
Yeah, listen, happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and both of them were in very good spirits. Anthony Joshua, talked about, the opportunity of becoming a three-time world heavyweight champion, and Wembley being a second home to him now, where he's had his best performances against the likes of Klitschko, and where he's had to sort of pull himself off the floor, the crowd being a big part of that. And
Povetkin, Parker as well, I think.
Yeah,
or was that Cardiff? I think it was Parker and Povetkin was there as well.
Yeah, so listen, it's a second home to him now. He's had them big nights there, feeding off the crowd. And Daniel Dubois was surprisingly relaxed, actually. Spoke to him about, sparring in the barn, and he's talking about what happens in the barn stays in the barn, and, mentally he's in those spirits as well. He's had that rebuilding process where Anthony Joshua has been like 2 years in the making since a loss to Alexander Usyk. He's come back and he's eventually got himself where he needs to be under the watchful eye of Ben Davison, and so he's in a really good place. And Don Charles has done a great job as well with Daniel Dubois, which makes this a really interesting contest, because you look at Dubois and you say, he starts a big underdog here, but when we go through the layers of it, Gareth, and we break it down, you go, you know what, this is a serious contender.
He is. Tell me, you started to go there. I agree with you. There's a confidence and an enjoyment from Daniel Dubois today that we haven't always seen in Fight Week, and you just mentioned that, and I like that about him today.
Absolutely. Listen, if you go on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel and you have a look at that interview that I done with him, he was very relaxed. He started laughing a lot. Done an interview, actually, that you will not, it's a rare side of Daniel Dubois that, you rarely see, speaking to him there, and you go, and that's why you go, he's in a great place.
Grown up.
I talked about him. Grown up. I talked about him in the barn where he trains with Don Charles, and when you go out in the car park, you can see the arches of Wembley Stadium, and you can find Daniel Dubois in that car park a lot. And I talked to him about it. I said, you stand there, you stare at the arches, what are you thinking about? And he's going, it's my time, man. This is my time. And he stands there meditating, staring at these arches. It really is fascinating. It's a fascinating interview.
And you touched on that with the other things you said about him. He's earned the right to look at those arches and say, I am ready. And he looks ready.
Absolutely. Listen, he's entering the ring as the IBF World Heavyweight Champion. Whatever way you want to look at that, the fight that he had with Filip Hrgović should have been for the World Heavyweight title anyway. It was only because the IBF did not strip Alexander Usyk of that title in time. They would have, but they didn't. So he won the interim title. So people that say he's a bona fide champion, come on, don't do him an injustice. He won the title because he beat Hrgović, and he beat him in good style. He's earned that right. Anthony Joshua goes in here as the challenger, Dubois as a champion. But it's been an incredible journey for him. It really has.
Throwing it to the other side, I sat around Anthony Joshua as well today. You sat down with him. He's in great spirits as well, isn't he?
He really is.
He was very relaxed today. Gloved hands, like Joshua Buatsi. He's going to shake a lot of people's hands. Doesn't want any infections or anything like that. Yeah. Keep him bacteria free, even though he's going to get punched in the face on Saturday night.
Absolutely. Listen, interesting with Anthony Joshua, because you know by looking at him and his frame and the size that he enters the ring, at what sort of performance he's going to put in and what he's looking to actually do. And I'll tell you what I saw with Anthony Joshua today. I saw a guy that has bulked up. He looked big. He looked very big. It looks like he wants to hold his ground, put Daniel Dubois on the back foot. That was my first initial thoughts when I looked at him. I thought, you're not using this, you're not looking to be athletic and mobile and light on your feet like the second Andy Ruiz fight. I go, you're looking here by looking at the frame of him, I'm thinking, you've come to war, mate. You know that Dubois is coming here, and you're looking to outman him, outmuscle him. It's going to be intriguing. It really is.
The psychology of the two fighters is very important for this fight, isn't it? They're both resurgent. Daniel Dubois even more so with his last two performances, and even what he learnt against Alexander Usyk. Psychology is going to play a huge part in this fight.
Absolutely. You know, I think that Anthony Joshua's a thinking fighter, an overthinker, if you like. You know, and if there's any stone left unturned, you know, it's a big problem for Joshua. He's meticulous in what he does. He's teamed up with Ben Davison. That has been a brilliant combination, him and Ben.
Match made in heaven.
Absolutely, because Ben is very meticulous in the work that he does, and you know that AJ puts the training in everything else, but he needs that fight game plan. He needs it to be, you know, like everything in place, and it seems to have done that, you know, and it's worked for him. And it's been, like I say, 2 years since Usyk fight, and it's been a slow progress, that rebuilding of the confidence and everything else, and the psychological stuff that you're just talking about there, Gareth. And I think that AJ right now is probably in the best shape physically and mentally. He's been for a long, long time. Absolutely. And I mentioned the Klitschko fight and how important that was for him, you know, remembering that fight at Wembley Stadium.
It's a happy hunting ground.
Absolutely.
He's not had an unhappy time ever at Wembley.
No, absolutely.
It was Tottenham Hotspur where he lost to Usyk. It was Madison Square Garden where he lost to Andy Ruiz.
Yeah.
And it was Jeddah that he lost in the rematch to Alexander Usyk.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a lot about these guys all week. We're going to be with you all week. Derek Chisora joins us tomorrow. How am I going to handle both of those two every day? I just don't know.
I can tame him.
You'll tame him. Good, I need you to. On Saturday night, myself and Spencer, Adam Catterall presenting. Obviously, Adam and myself as host and co-host. Spencer with John Rawling doing commentary. Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bulls, going to join us as well. So we've got heavyweight presence all week. Heavyweight Hall of Fame promoters as well today. We spoke to Frank Warren, who says, and you spoke to him all earlier in the day as well, that's on the YouTube channel as well. He's saying this is perfect timing right now for Daniel Dubois.
Absolutely. You know, you got to remember now that Daniel Dubois has just turned 27 years of age last week, and you know he's had that apprenticeship. You know, he's done that work. You know, he's put that work in. He's had his ups, his downs. You know, that loss to Joe Joyce, he went back, he rebuilt, lost to Alexander Usyk, and that was the moulding of him as a fighter actually, because he took a lot of confidence from that. Don Charles has been a match made in heaven as well for Daniel Dubois, like I say, and so he feels now that the timing is right. The experience is now on his side. He's not a young fighter anymore. You know, he's world champion now. That makes a big difference, elevates a fighter to another level. And so, yeah, they're going in there full of confidence.
As the week goes on, we're going to speak to Eddie Hearn, Don Charles, Ben Davison, Lee Wiley, and all the teams. There's a couple of, we spoke to almost everyone today, in fact, but I think there's just one other fight I want to talk about right now. We've got all week to talk about the fights. I was very impressed with both Joshua Buatsi and even more so with Willie Hutchinson just now. You know, we've been here since 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's late in the evening now, 8, 9 o'clock. Willie Hutchinson and Joshua Buatsi, boy, are those two up for it.
Absolutely. Listen, that's a great fight, a match made in heaven, really, because Willie Hutchinson, for a lot of you, has come out of nowhere. You know, he went in against Craig Richards last time out.
2 fights ago at Bethnal Hall, York Hall.
Absolutely. He goes in against Craig Richards as a huge underdog after losing to Lennox Clark. He thought, as he found his level, you know, there were reasons behind that, him dropping down in weight. Huge underdog against Craig Richards, and he turned him over. You know, he went in there and he absolutely dominated the fight.
And he says he's going to do the same to Joshua Buatsi.
Well, you look at that, and
convinced he's going to stop him.
You look at what Craig Richards done with Dimitri Bivol and where he was at, and with Joshua Buatsi as well. He pushed them both all the way, and you look at the way that Hutchinson beat him, and you look at this and go, wow, we got a real fight on our hands. Hutchinson's come out of nowhere and he's fulfilled the potential that we thought he had as the most decorated Scottish amateur boxer ever. You go in there and you think you was expecting stuff from him. As he found his level, well, guess what? On that last performance, where is the level? We find out on Saturday night.
We're going to do our picks later in the week, but we've got interviews with Josh Warrington, Anthony Cacace. Go on the website. There's loads to see. We're going to be here all week. We'll give our picks on everyone. Have you got anything else that stood out to you today? That was a narrow corridor with a lot of boxers walking up and down, lots of rooms.
Do you know what? Do you know what I took from today? Looking at a fighter and realising that actually it's fight week, and so reality kicks in. Some fighters get uptight, some fighters get edgy, some fighters feel like they don't want to be here. Guess what? With the media obligations that they've got, They were all happy to be here. Do you know what that tells me? We've got 6 unbelievable fights coming on Saturday night, because it's all about opportunity. And these guys recognise that boxing here, Riyadh season is huge for them, and that is the opportunity.
And you say that, and I saw Ishmael Davies wandering down the corridor just to bring you news up to date. Obviously, he's fighting Josh Kelly because Liam Smith is injured or has got a virus, or he's certainly pulled out. We have got some iconic venues. You can't get better than this, I'm afraid, but it does get better this week. We're going to be all over London. I can't reveal all the venues, but it's special, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got some fantastic nights coming up.
Well, we'll be back tomorrow with loads of interviews, and Derek Chisora. Somehow I'm going to try and control Derek Chisora and this fella, The Omen. This has been me and Spencer. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.